Hello everybody, welcome to ICT 710 Learning Technologies. I'm Kevin Tharp and I'm the instructor for this class. These videos like I'm recording right now are an integral part of this class. You'll see them almost every week. I'll give you some kind of a video. There's a number of videos that are in the course, part of learning modules, etc. And so this is a way that I try to keep everybody in tune. One of the biggest problems I've seen with distance education using learning technologies is that process of developing a culture within the classroom. And I feel that's a really important thing so that we don't feel like we are sitting out in the ether taking a class alone, so that you feel like you're actually part of a class. And so I do a number of things to try and develop a classroom culture to help you to feel like you are in this with other people. And these videos are one of the ways that I do that. There are some other things, such as the use of Twitter and the introduction videos. So a lot of the stuff you do in this first week is designed to try and help us to develop that class culture right off the bat, and in the process also getting you using some learning technologies that you may or may not be familiar with. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go through the way that I use D2L in this class, give you a look at the semester in front of you, and go forward from there. So let's get started with it. I often put information up in here, news information, etc. And so you need to watch that regularly. But coming over into the content area, the first thing that you're going to see is the course textbook. This course uses an electronic textbook. It's the way that Stout and really education, including higher education, is going. It won't be too many years before it'll be odd to actually have a textbook. And for distance students especially, this gives you immediate access. There's not the cost of mailing the books back and forth, which often exceed the cost of the textbook itself. And so you've got immediate access to this course textbook. There's also a document here called Accessing and Using Your textbook. One of the things that I would like you to do before you start doing that is to come over into this communications area and go into the discussions. And what I would like for you to do is there's a section called e-textbooks, and I see some of you have already started posting here. Post your initial impressions before you read anybody else's impressions about it. Go ahead and post your impressions about how you feel about using an e-textbook, and then through the semester there will be problems you encounter if you have, and really I haven't had anybody use this, problems you've encountered after the first semester when we were learning to use the technology. And then these other things are for later in the semester. But if you would go ahead and give me your initial impressions before you get into using the textbook, that would be really helpful. What we're doing is just looking at people's perceptions before and then after having used the electronic textbook. So that's what we're going to be doing, and I'll talk more about that later on. Not today, but on another date. Okay, then we've got the syllabus. The syllabus obviously is an important document in this course. I'm going to leave it there for you to read. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to point out a couple of things. First off, you'll notice that it's got my Twitter username in there. You will have to, as part of week 1, set up a Twitter account using your Stout email account and subscribe to me and allow me to subscribe to you. I use Twitter as a primary information tool in this course. It's often the quickest way to get in touch with me. If you do a @DocTStout, then what that will do is if it's before 9 at night, I'll get a notification on my phone that somebody has tried to get in touch with me. So that normally is the quickest way to get in touch with me. Email is the second, and phone it'll work, but so often I'm recording or in other places, so the phone isn't always a great way of getting information to me, but you can do it in that way. Email and Twitter are better ways under most circumstances, unless it's something we need to really talk through. Course description and objectives, you've already seen that. The text we've already covered. It's an e-textbook, and it is available in D2L. Now, if you are interested, and we go through this every semester, you can print out copies of chapters and stuff from that, or you could buy a copy of that book if you really prefer to have the hard copy. Okay, due dates for policy. Almost everything in here is going to be due at 11:59 p.m. on a Sunday night. If it's due at any other time, then we will make it very clear that something is due at another time. But I do that as a standard way of managing my online classes, because what that does is it allows you the weekend to work on anything that you have coming up. I've heard that I make a lot of stuff due on the weekends. Well, that doesn't mean you have to do it on the weekend. That just means that I give you that time. I guess I could make it due on Friday night at 11:59, but I prefer to try and address your needs as students and give you as much flexibility in the time as possible for you to do those. So that's why I do my due dates in that way. Evaluation and expectations. You guys are graduate students. I expect graduate level work. And there's more details in here. Attendance, you just need to do what needs to be done by the time to do it. And this would be a good time to bring up procrastination. Procrastination is not going to be a beneficial approach to this class. If you have talked to any of your peers, I'm sure that they will have told you that there is a lot to do in this class. There's a lot of work in this class. Mostly there's a lot of reading in this class. And so every week there is plenty of work to do for that week. The best key to success is to make sure you do it before it's due or as it's due. As soon as you start falling behind, then instead of 1 week's work to do, you've got 2 weeks' work to do. And each week's work is a significant amount of effort. So the key to success is to not let yourself get behind. And a lot of people choose to work ahead, especially if they know that, oh, I'm not going to be able to be here a certain week. Well, the way I have the course set up, you can work ahead, but it doesn't really allow you to get behind. And so if you keep that in mind, then you will do fine in this class. The only people who ever have troubles in this class are people who allow themselves to get behind. So that is my words to the wise. We've already covered some of that. Submitting assignments. Almost everything will be done in D2L, including the research paper. The research paper will go into a Dropbox. I'll show you that in a little while. And that is tied to turnitin.com so that you can actually see in your research paper, you can see how well you're citing your sources before you turn it in for a grade so that you can use that as a learning tool. That's where the grades drop out, just so that you're aware. Okay, now into the actual work that we got to do. The introduction is due first week. What you need to do is you need to develop a video presentation to introduce yourself to the class. Normally people do that using software called Jing that allows you to record a maximum 5-minute presentation. I will be recording one as well so that you can get to know me. This is part of the here's some technology to use, but also the let's develop a culture of a classroom using the technology here. Now you need to note that you will need to have a microphone set up to do this task. The built-in microphones on a laptop don't do a great job for a couple reasons. One, they're not good microphones, and two, every time you click or tap, that comes through the recording. And since we're learning about learning technology, it is better to use a microphone that is external to your laptop if you're using a laptop because of the production qualities that you get out of that. So blog or microblog, that's the Twitter assignment. And it is listed in the content area. But basically, you'll set up your Twitter account. You will you will friend Doc T Stout, and you allow me to friend you. You'll need to post your first tweet, and then you're responsible for following my tweets throughout the semester. When I do things like the weekly updates, I don't always put them in the news, but I will always put a link to them from the Twitter, my Twitter feed. So that's the first place that you'll get information from me. And I'm more diligent about putting it into that Twitter feed than I am to the news feed at the in D2L. So online discussions, there will be a discussion every week that you will need to participate in. That is a conversation, so it includes reading as well as posting. And then there's sort of the rules about that, about how that's done. I leave the conversations open for a week after they're due, so that if there's a good conversation going on that you want to reply to, that it is still available for you to reply to it. When I assess your participation, I look at posting and I look at reading. So generally when people are losing points for the online discussions, it's because they are not reading their peers' postings. Now this class has 20 students, which is the very top end of what I will allow in this class, because it gets difficult to manage a class with this much interaction when you get above that. So what you'll end up finding is that there's a lot of discussion when there's 20 people contributing to that. I do not expect you to read every single post. That sometimes in an active class can get into hundreds of posts a week. I don't expect you to read every one of them. I expect you to read some of them, and a reasonable amount of them. I myself will not read every single post, especially if this becomes a really active class. So I will read a large chunk of them, but I won't read every one. So I sort of give you the same leeway that I give myself, that you're not expected to read every single one of the posts, but you need to do enough that you're staying informed. The midterm exam is really 5 exams covering the readings from the 5 first discussions. I'll actually make those exams available to you early in the semester so that you can take those as you are going. But the reason I have it as midterm exam is there is a date to have the first 5 of those completed. You can take them all during that week 7, or you can take them through the semester as we're covering the materials. The research paper, we're going to start on this right away, and I'll show you the schedule in just a couple minutes here. The research paper is the hardest part of this class other than the reading. It's an applied research paper where you will identify a problem that is related to teaching or learning, and then you will go out and you will do research on that. And the form that research will be is you will do a literature review to see what kind of technology might be currently used or potentially used in the future to address whatever your problem statement is. And that's probably the biggest problem that people have is stating it as a problem. So basically in your mind you need to say there is a problem with whatever it is, and that needs to actually be stated in your paper. And we'll work from the very first week. You'll be able to start posting your problem statements, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but I will help you. I won't choose the topic for you, and I won't approve your topics for you, but what I will do is I will tell you, yes, this is a problem statement. No, that is not a problem statement. You need to know that you cannot do this as a white paper that relies upon your personal knowledge. You have to go out and find information that has been posted or published somewhere in the world, and we'll get that squared away, and we'll hit that ground running with that right away. And I think that is normally due, around week 6. So we'll hit the research paper actually very early on. Then after that, we'll go into the computer-based training module. You are going to create one. The way that it works is you will use the ADDIE model, and we'll go more over that later on, to plan and evaluate some kind of training material, computer-based training module that you will do. And then you will create that training module. So there's 3 parts of this. There's the self-paced computer-based training module, which is due in week 11. And then the second part is, and there's the information about the ADDIE model. The second part is online content, which is a website. And what you do with the website is you will explain how you used the ADDIE model, bringing artifacts from when you were doing that planning into a website. So what the website will actually talk about, the content of it will be how you planned and created this computer-based training module, and you will do that on a website. The one that we normally do is gemdo.com. They provide free accounts. It's a content management system. It's very easy to use, and people can have a website, a basic website, up and running within an hour or so. So that's why we use that, so you don't have to learn web design in order to do online content. The third thing that you will do as part of that assignment is you will do peer evaluation. Each of you will evaluate. Normally it ends up being about 3 people's CBT and online content. What you will do is you will use a set of rubrics that I have established, and you will evaluate them on both their computer-based training module and on their online content, and you will do that peer evaluation for them. And that's the last thing that we do for this semester. So that is sort of a rundown of everything that we're going to do. Let me show you this schedule so you can understand and see how I lay everything out. Okay, so in this first section, module, what I do here is I break it up into week 1 is introduction. Week 2 through 6, you see the green over here, are on cognition. This is a real theory-heavy portion of the class, and so we'll be talking about users and how they perceive the world around them and how we interact with the world around us. Light, sound, senses, text, etc., images. And so that will really lay the theoretical framework about how you need to understand the human brain and the way that it interacts with the world around it, so that you can then start using that knowledge in a more applied way. And you'll see the purple section over here, that is the production. That's when we switch to a more applied element. We're still getting a lot of reading, but it goes from being more theoretical to more this is how you do kind of stuff, making multimedia, for example. So, and during that time period, what we'll do is we will be preparing to do these projects here. And the projects are the CBT, which you will notice is due in week 11. You'll be able to start that up here in around week 7. Is when you'll start planning for doing your CBT. There it is right there. So week 8, I've got begin CBT and online content. And so that's due in week 11. The week of Thanksgiving, there is no class. The 12th, you will have your online content due. So that's the website. And then week 13, you will have your peer evaluation due. Now, these are absolute deadlines. In order for me to, in order for your peers to grade your work and for me to grade your work, we need to make sure that these, the CBT, the online content, and the peer evaluation are finished by their due date. There's sort of no flexibility in there because we have to finish. I'll clean this up to make it a little bit more readable, but the way this works is if you come in here, here's week 1. The topic is what is multimedia. The readings are Vaughan Chapter 1 and the Fundamentals Learning Module. Over here where it says exercises, you're going to see 3 or 4 times in the semester where it's going to say meeting time. This is for those people who are in the face-to-face class. Those are the times when we are going to meet face-to-face. I'm also going to make it available so that if you are interested and you're an online student, that you can come in through a WebEx web conference and interact with myself and the other students in real time. And there's 3 or 4 dates throughout the semester where I've got the yellow block and meeting time, and that's where we are going to actually have that face-to-face time. And whether you're enrolled in the online classes or the face-to-face, you're more than welcome to participate in those face-to-face meetings, or WebEx conference are going to be sort of the same thing, but it is not a required aspect of your course. It's just an opportunity to help us to expand upon that culture and put some faces and to names. Okay, so that is the schedule. I'll get that cleaned up a little bit more. I'll put some lines in there so that it's easier to see where the exercise, just borders in those tables, so it's easier to see what's going on. So that's most of what we need to talk about this week. There's a little tutorial on using Jing that's in there. Jing is the software that you'll use to create your introduction. And the discussions, the place where you will post that is over here in the communications discussions and introduction. So you'll post, you'll either need to upload the video or put a URL to it. And when you sign up for Jing, it explains that, so you can post to Streamcast and just post a URL in there. One thing I will warn you, when you're creating a hyperlink inside of anywhere in D2L, if you're linking to somewhere like Screencast or Gemdo, when you create that hyperlink, there's going to be an option for display in whole window or new window. You're going to want to choose that because a lot of the time they will not let you put a website inside the D2L frame. So we'll encounter that later on. Moving on into the communications area. Oh, course materials. The drop boxes are already set up. I haven't got the dates set right. I will have those set up this week. But the drop boxes are in here. You'll see that there is one for the research paper, one for the CBT, one for the online content. Communications, the discussions, you'll get familiar with this. And again, general discussion is any questions that you have. This is a good place for you to talk with each other. I'll periodically check it, but you can't count on me checking on it every day, but I'll go in there periodically. It's a good place to get help from your peers or me if you're having some kind of problems, because normally if one person has a problem, other people are having it too. Twitter, Hello I Am, is where you'll post your introduction video. Twitter is where you will tell me what your Twitter account is and where I can give you credit for having completed that assignment. This is where your problem statements will go. So you'll need to start posting those really pretty quick. And the rest of it will come up more in this semester. And down here under Learning Technologies, Discussion 1 is Understanding Users. And you'd go to the schedule to see when that's due. That's all I have for now. Welcome to the class. I'll be seeing you guys pretty regularly, and this will get you started, and then we will be back in touch again next week. Thanks.